In many parts of Nova Scotia, especially in older homes and rental units, energy efficiency is driving up heating costs. For a typical 4-person home, electric heat can cost around $3,533 annually, while oil heat can reach up to $4,825 per year, according to Efficiency Nova Scotia. For many families, this means choosing between staying warm and buying groceries.
So my name's Sue Adams, and I represent the Antigonish Coalition to End Poverty on the Affordable Energy Coalition.
Giselle Carpenter, Women's Support Worker, Antigonish Women's Resource Center. Yes, sometimes we have people come in who are hooking up their power and they have to pay $900 for a hookup fee. Recently we had a woman come in, her and her partner had budgeted for $250 for when they were moving to a new apartment for the hookup fee. Turns out it was $900, which means that they had to use all their money and didn't have enough money for groceries for the month. So came here looking for some support for groceries and to sort of get them through the month.
The definitions vary, but no matter which definition you use, Nova Scotia has one of the very highest rates of energy poverty in the country. Usually it's regarded as the second highest rate of energy poverty in Canada. So of course one of the challenges with energy insufficiency is you end up having to make the choice between heating and eating, or heating and buying essential medications. Those sorts of, or going seriously into debt.
A lot of the families that we see are making a choice between buying healthy food or paying their rent or paying their power bill and deciding which one is the most important one to pay. A lot of times if they have children, they choose to buy their groceries. And like I said, in the winter, it's easy to let your power bill go because the law is you don't have to have a disconnect. You won't get disconnected with your power in the winter. So they can let it go and still have power all winter. And then come April, when the temperature warms up outside, the power disconnects come out, and we see a slew of people come in, a ton of people who have disconnection notices that with $2,000 bills that we have to sort of support and figure out how to best support them with any financial needs. So they're really making choices between, having healthy choices for their children or their family, or paying a bill. We see a lot of health impacts through mental health and physical health. The stress of not being able to pay their bills or not being able to keep their family warm takes a toll on people. We have people who will choose to pay their power bill and then get an eviction notice because they haven't paid the rent, but they had to choose between power or rent and which one is the better solution. And there is no better solution for these type of cases. That stress alone on people's mental health, but then in turn that affects people's physical health too. The stress and the worry and not being able to buy the food that they need for their families, or like healthy food. We have people who say, I'm just tired of eating bananas, for example, not being able to afford other types of fruits and other types of vegetables as well. So that takes an impact on people. Guaranteed basic income, obviously. If everyone had a guaranteed basic income, everyone could afford to heat their house, and there'd be no stigma or embarrassment over whether or not someone could or couldn't afford that. Also, more funds or for a program or grants for the heating programs, because oftentimes a lot of the heating programs run out of money before the end of the fiscal year that they're allotted. So Salvation Army is usually January till the end of March. Oftentimes they'll run out early March because it's for the province, and there's so many people that need that fund that they just can't keep up with the demand. So,
reduction of energy poverty could be assisted in Nova Scotia, and that is through efficiency upgrades, which reduce the amount of energy that a household uses, and through cost reductions of the energy itself. There's a very good program for homeowners on low income called home warming that enables them to do major energy efficiency upgrades at no cost to themselves. The Affordable Energy Coalition thinks would be a great solution to this would be what's called a universal service program for electricity. Last year, the Energy Poverty Task Force, through a consultant, came out with a report that recommended how such a program could be implemented specifically in Nova Scotia. And it included a rate reduction for low-income electricity customers. It would include arrears management, because part of the problem is that people tend to get very far in arrears and then the problem compounds itself. Also, it could include an energy emergency fund provision and electricity upgrades. Well, broadly speaking, if there could be one change that could reduce poverty, it would be the introduction of a guaranteed livable basic income. Specific to energy, the one policy change that would make a big difference and would allow a universal service program would be changing Section 67 of the Public Utilities Act. Nova Scotia's Public Utilities Act, which does regulate electric utilities, has a section says that charges have to be equal for all customers of a particular class. So all residential customers have to pay the same rates and charges. And the Affordable Energy Coalition for more than 20 years has been trying to encourage the government to amend that clause so that lower income households could be charged a lower rate, but there has been no positive response from the government on that. So that's a significant policy barrier.
again, that would be the guaranteed basic income for everyone across the province. Also, I would think for power companies, the hookup fee shouldn't be based on last year's usage of other homes, and there should be a cap. $900 or $600 for a hookup fee is just too expensive. Look at the numbers from last year for the Antigonish Emergency Fuel Fund, and we had 226 families that had to access the program, and that's just in Antigonish and Antigonish County. So, and that's a lot of families. The message would be that we would hope that we would never have to use these programs. Unfortunately, we know that that is something that is needed in the community. So more funding, more grants towards those programs from the governments would be good. More funding towards healthy food alternatives as well for people, and putting money into food security as well.
If there was one broad message that I could give, it would be we can do better. Canada has committed to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. The first goal is eliminate poverty. There are ways and means for us to do that. We just need the will to do it.